My investigative study project plan. So my plan looks at how do schools use data to improve best teaching practices and student performance in literacy. So I will be investigating how schools, specifically Auburn North Public School, use data to improve teaching practices and student performance in literacy. I'll be analyzing how teachers at Auburn North Public School effectively embed practices from the What Works Best 2020 document from SESI into their daily literacy block lessons to enhance literacy learning, specifically for ELD learners. In addition to conducting an in-depth analysis of Auburn North Public School's use of data to inform their teaching pedagogies, I'll be comparing Auburn North with two other schools, which both happen to be positive behavior for learning schools, that are Villawood North Public School and Punchbowl Public School. So in regards to the investigation, I have chosen this area to investigate because I was impressed by how effectively teachers at Auburn North Public School, I'm getting confused with the different schools, use data to teach ELD students. So effectively investigate this area because I was so impressed by how effectively teachers at Auburn North Public School use the data to support and inform their teaching. Their passion for teaching and their approach to improving student performance and implementing best teaching practices have inspired me to analyze their methods to inform my own future teaching practices and enhance my data competency. At Auburn North, the What Works Best document and the practices in the What Works Best document, they specifically use in each lesson the instructional model. So every single lesson is very structured and consistent in terms of how the lesson is delivered to the students, and all this just falls under the explicit teaching chapter in the What Works Best. Okay, similar to Auburn North, Villawood North and Punchbowl Public, which are both PBL schools, use explicit instructions in their day-to-day lessons and routines and the instructional model for their lessons. And here's the What Works Best document. Very good document, I must say so myself. Very helpful. And here is some background and which I had the privilege of doing my PEX 5 with. It is a multi-award-winning primary school in Western Sydney, and it has award-winning primary school in Western Sydney, and it has an index of community social educational advantage of being within the 50 percentile. Student population, a very high population of ELD students, which is 97%. 20% of the students there are from refugee backgrounds or refugee-like backgrounds, 0% of Indigenous students, and the majority of the students in that school is Indian, Afghan, and Pakistani. I taught stage 1, year 2, so I'll be referring back to stage 1, year 2 for the case study. The next school that I'll be referring back to is Villawood North Public School, which I also had a great time learning from through my PEX 3. They are a positive behavior for learning. I did my PEX 3 at. It is a positive behavior for learning school in southwestern Sydney. Its index score is ranking in the 20 percentile. It is a low socioeconomic school. It is a low socioeconomic school. Is 256, 20 teaching staff with an ELD, 94% ELD students and 2% Indigenous students. Majority of the students there were Arabic speaking background, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Pacific Islander. I had the privilege of teaching early stage 1 kindy here. My final school that I'll be referring to for the case studies is Punchbowl Public School, which I did my PEX 4 at. It is also another PBL school in southwestern Sydney, and its index score is sitting at 27 percentile. Student population is 508, teaching staff ELD students, 2% Indigenous students, with the majority of the students there being from Arabic speaking background, Bengali, and Pacific Islander and Indonesian. And again, I taught early stage 1 kindy. All this information, background information, is I got from my school and the SIPs. Okay, timeline. In regards to the timeline, because this project will be carried out retrospectively, where I'll be mainly drawing upon my experiences from PE5 completed at Auburn North Public School. Additionally, where I'll also be using my past experiences from Villawood North and Punchbowl Public as comparative case studies, examining how different schools collect and use data to improve students' performance and teaching practices in literacy. Strategies: use more conversations with staff and my supervising teachers. So general questions on how they interpret data, what sort of data they look for, and examples on how this could be used to improve teaching practice to meet student needs. Daily reflections and handwritten notes of my observations on data usage. So throughout my pracs, I'll be referring back to how I have observed other teachers during staff meetings, stage meetings, and making handwritten notes and daily reflections of how this was all observed. So my daily reflections on my lesson plans, postings of strategies that work and do not work in the classroom. So conducted, observed literacy block lessons, comparisons between previous practicums at different schools. Resources that I'll be using to complete this note, as I've mentioned before, the rubrics, mainly rubrics from Auburn North Public School, the ERD Learning Progressions 2015, the My School website from ACARA, the National Literacy and Numeracy Learning Progressions, which doesn't have a date. And in retrospect, the shared lesson plans, schedules, meeting notes from the OneNote. And this one is from Auburn North again. Ethical considerations. Top of the list is confidentiality and privacy, where all past students and teachers involved in the case studies are kept de-identified, and the information is kept private for just myself and you, Julie. Next, we have cultural sensitivity, so being respectful of the cultural and linguistic diversity of the students and teacher population. Next on the list again is bias and objectivity, so avoiding any personal bias and maintaining objectivity in the analysis of the case studies. And last but not least, responsible reporting, so presenting the findings constructively for educational purposes only, avoiding any critical or negative portrayals of the schools, staff, or practices. Next. Implications for future practices. The aim of my project is to enhance my own teaching practices and data literacy through the in-depth analysis of how data is used as a crucial accountability tool for instructional decision making and as a continuous tool for improvement for both teachers and students. It will highlight the disparities in teaching practices and students' learning needs. This will indicate whether further professional learning is necessary to bridge the gap in students' learning and will inform future teaching, planning, and assessment practices. My reference list, and thank you very much. Thank you, Julie. All right. And literacy.